You're on mute, George.
I am all over it. Yeah, I'm George Thaxton. I know a lot of you guys by name, by face, but some of you are new and unfamiliar to me. So I'm hoping to earn your guys' trust. We are going to go over my presentation today on business security. Give me one moment. Let me share my screen here. And given that there are so few of us here, feel free to interrupt me. And if you have any questions, we'll talk things out. Make sure you understand what we got before we move on. So business technology security. The internet is the kind of neighborhood where you want to leave your keys unlocked or leave your door unlocked. There we go. Just a little outline of the presentation. We're going to go over passwords, the complexity of them, the multi-factor authentication, and a scary website that you guys will all hate that you know, because it will really help you with your password security. We're going to go over email, the differences between enterprise and public services, as well as how to control your email so your employees just don't go rogue with all your client lists. We're going to go over some network security with Wi-Fi, VPNs, RDPs, all these acronyms that I don't expect you guys to memorize, but I'm sure you've heard them once before and you want to use them. And Active Directory, which is how, taking control of the actual profiles on the computer so you can control your employees' access. I heard a sound. Where's the chat?
It should be on the very bottom of your screen, but there is nobody in chat just yet.
Okay. I just heard something. I didn't know someone was pinging me or something. All right. Feel free to interrupt me because I can't see chat, so.
We'll keep an eye on it for you.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to talk about how to make a secure password. Okay. There are 4 key features to a secure password. Make sure it's more than 8 characters, uses both capital and lowercase letters, both numbers and special characters, and never write it in a document. If the first 3 requirements, if you go to sign up to a new website and it says you can only have a password that's 8 characters long, we don't expect these special characters. You really want to question about if you want to make an account with that website, because it's not going to be that secure. I have already written several letters, and I've brought this up many times to DMV because they are like that. The DMVNV.com, they limit your password restrictions, and I keep telling them how unsecure that is. Never give out your password or have it written in a document. Even to someone like me, if I'm your IT guy, you don't want to give me your password because that's just another point of failure. Not saying you shouldn't trust me, but you just shouldn't trust anybody with your password. I also see a lot of people have an entire Excel spreadsheet or an entire notebook written with all their passwords. That's not great. And I really wish I would stop seeing people do that, just because of how unsecure that is. Phrases are fantastic for passwords. So for example, do you know the Muffin Man? It's hard to forget. And what you can always do is have rules for your password that only you know. For example, all your E's are 3. All your I's are now exclamation points, and all your A's are now the @ sign. So you can have those special characters. You can have those complications in there in a phrase that you can remember. And if you know your rules, you know what your password would be. So you're not always forgetting your password. We want to keep our passwords safe because they're going to be easy to remember, hard to guess. Longer passwords are more secure than complex ones. So for example, if you were to ask a computer to guess the password, dogs are good boys, it's going to be a whole lot more complicated than SuperPass because of the length of that. The length of the password is what's going to add more variables. So just longer is better. Oh my God. So keep away from special dates. anniversaries, children's names, dogs' names, street you grew up on. How many times have you guys been on Facebook and seen what you call it? You know, your kangaroo name is the name of the street you grew up on plus your mother's maiden name. I hate those because if you look down at the comment section, there's just a whole bunch of potential passwords. And people who are nefarious can take those, scrape those, throw them in a list, and then every time they want to try to break into something, they can just run that list against those, against that attack, and it works more times than you would think. So that's why I keep saying phrases are fantastic, because you can always just replace letters. Phrases, I got a 2-year-old daughter you may or may not see in the background here, but so do you know the Muffin Man is always in my mind. A whole bunch of Sesame Street songs that I don't want to let everyone know that I know word for word. These are all fantastic ways to, you know, something personal to you, but not public knowledge.
So George, I have a question.
Yes.
Let's say you come up with a fantastic password like that, real estate 19. I mean, that looks like a pretty secure password. Why can't you just use it everywhere? I mean, no one's going to guess that. So I think the problem most of us have is coming up with a different, really cool new password every single time.
So that actually brings me right up in the next section here, the password keepers. So these will remember the passwords for you. So for example, Bitwarden, Chrome has one. If you're on a Mac, you can use Keychain. But what these will do is these will actually automatically generate super long, complicated passwords that you'll never remember, and put those in the websites for you. Put those in your applications, and it'll look like.
Those are good.
I'm sorry.
So those are good. Those password keeper programs are good then.
Yes, you want to make sure who has your data though. So that's why I listed 3 here. So for example, LastPass was just recently in the news. If the password keeper has access to your password without you, it's not a good password keeper. So for example, LastPass was able to, people were able to break into LastPass and take passwords from them. I wouldn't recommend LastPass to a client. However, Chrome uses the password on your computer and encrypts it that way. Bitwarden is a paid service. I think I pay $10 a year for Bitwarden. And what it does is it'll all of these, and keychains come with Mac, all of these will generate like a 16-digit long password, all alphanumeric, something you will never remember. But it will have one master password, and that's where you put your really super hard, complicated, awesome password that Maria was talking about in there. And then anytime you go to a website, Bitwarden's going to pop up. Hey, what's your password? Or put your fingerprint, or do your password, your phone password. And then once you authenticate that you are yourself, it will then put the super complicated password that it has for you in that website for you. So every website has a unique password, and then you have one password with this password keeper.
Do these password keepers translate from a different device? I mean, will they work on your phone, your laptop, your tablet?
Yeah. So so for example, if you're a Chrome user, you sign in with your Google account, and it'll sync your passwords between your between your Chrome computer. I have it on my iPad here with the Chrome browser. It will do all my passwords there. I have a Google phone, so it will do all my passwords there. I recently switched to Bitwarden just because it has a bit more security features that I wanted. I wanted the fingerprint authentication. So now with Bitwarden, I installed an application on my computer. I installed it on my iPad. I installed it on my phone, and it syncs all the passwords between all of them. They all work between Mac, Windows, and Android, because now Mac and iOS are one thing. So yeah, so all your password keepers, your browsers are going to be a big help in that. They're going to be able to ones that to give you that unified experience across devices. Cons may not work in all sites and all places. This one is, it's steadily getting narrower. So if you have a application on your phone, a lot of the time the reason why that's going away is because they'll actually integrate with your keyboard. So you know how you have the auto fill on your keyboard when you're typing a message, and it'll finish your sentence for you. It's Bitwarden and Keychain also integrate with your keyboard as well. So if it detects you're typing a password field, it'll recommend the password that's supposed to be in there. So that con is actually going away. Single point of failure, keep this password secure. Like I said, this is the one perfect password that you had that Maria was talking about, the one that you don't want to put on every website, but it's a great password that you have. It is that single point of failure. However, most of the time, you yourself are not being attacked. It's the websites behind it that are being attacked. So if Facebook gets hit and 500 million user accounts get compromised, and you have your password in there of real estate 19, what people on the people that hack Facebook aren't going to say, now we have Lauren's password, let's go check all of Lauren's services and see if this real estate 19 works. They're just going to take that real estate 19 and go attack Venmo with it. And if real estate 19 happens to get them into Lauren's account on Venmo, well, Lauren wasn't personally targeted. She was just happened to be a victim of attack between two large companies. So that's why the single point of failure on the password keeper is your secure password, because if I was malicious and I wanted to come directly after you, Lauren, that's the one password I need to find out, and then I would have access to everything. So that's why don't tell me your password. Don't write it down. Don't stick it on a sticky note under your keyboard. Okay, it's really important you keep your passwords to yourself. Possible fees. Sometimes it's a paid service. Like I said, Chrome and Keychain are free with your devices in Chrome. However, Bitwarden, they have a free personal plan. I believe the $10 a month, sorry, the $10 a year I pay for Bitwarden, they have like 1 or 2 extra features that I wanted. So it's not that much when you look into it that way.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
CNA, if anybody's ever heard of CNA Insurance, they got hacked on March 23rd, and it shut the whole company down. Their bond company, their life insurance, everything got shut down, and it was shut down probably, I think, for 40 days. Can you imagine how much money is coming into that company? And they refused to pay the finance, the fee that they wanted, that they were demanding. And even large companies get hacked. And you would think that they're they're protected, but even large companies like Home Depot and Target, yeah, they all get hacked. So if they can get hacked, we can get hacked.
Absolutely. So. And it's on that, like I said, 2-year-old, she's gonna be in the back doing her thing. Solar wind. Hey. So Solar Winds is also a company that is big in my industry, because they are a company that provides tools to companies like me, a managed service provider, to other people so they can manage their businesses. And they were also compromised. And it turns out that they actually had compromised machines on a whole bunch of Fortune 500 companies, as well as like the Department of Justice, Department of Defense, that kind of stuff. So passwords are a big deal. Along with the passwords, though, you want to look at multi-factor authentication.
Shannon, you can go ahead and just ask your question. You don't have permission.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Question: I get probably every week an email saying that they've hacked me and I have to pay, and then I just report it. I don't do anything with it, and then nothing bad seems to happen. But is that normal to get those emails?
It depends on where they're coming from, and if that's a concern with enough of you guys, I can actually pop up an email so you guys know how to verify it's coming from where it says it's coming from. Hey. So with multi-factor authentication, let me just throw her really quick. Stand by.
George, I'll take over on that for just a second for what I know, Shannon, to kind of help you. The fact that you ever responded to one puts you on a list for others, for multiples. So that's what tends to happen. If the first one you got in, you opened it, and you go, oh, wait, what is this? That little mark went out to zillions of scammers that resell you as a potential target.
I've never opened one, but I get them all the time. It's crazy.
It's from the preview pane. Even if you're looking at it in the preview pane and you click on there, that can do it.
Okay.
However, if you're on a board, we have this at WSDBA all the time, they will scrape board names and then fish. And so our board is always getting emails from me asking for, what are they, gift cards or eBay cards or Starbucks cards or something like that.
I had an agent do that. Said they got a text from me and she sent them $350. And I'm like, what did you do? Oh my God.
They can be compelling. So, it's just really important to never respond, never reply. Sometimes people like to engage and think it's fun or interesting to say, I know you're a scammer. All that does is just trigger chain reactions of, hey, we got a live one here. So it's best when you get them, just delete them. Don't even go through the preview pane.
What about announcing them as phishing emails? Because I get emails saying that my Outlook needs to be updated.
So it depends on what your email provider is. Outlook. We'll get in that. So there's actually a full section on email. We can talk about this. But your email provider will be able to detect whether or not the emails coming in are phishing or not.
GoDaddy.
Yeah, and we'll go over that. What you call it? But yeah, I want to keep this on passwords for the moment, and then we'll move to emails in a later section. So multi-factor authentication. There are multiple ways to make sure you are who you are. One of them that we're all familiar with is passwords. Hey, what's the password? Oh, only Maria would know this password. This must be Maria. Let her into her bank account. But as technology progresses, we also have other ways to authenticate you are who you are. So now we have biometrics. This can be, I think Samsung had an iris scanning thing. Most of our phones now have fingerprint scanners. Your phone is also another way to authenticate yourself. So who you are, what you are, where you are. Those are the three methods of authentication. Who you are, do you have the password? What you are, does your fingerprint match, or does your eye match, or does your face print match? And where you are. Well, Maria shouldn't be logging in from Italy. That's next week. So let's send her a text to find out where she's at. And if she can reply back with the 6-digit letter, the 6 digits that we texted her with, that must be Maria. We'll let her in. So you guys will all get those SMS notifications saying, hey, type in these 6 digits along with your password. That's just another way to authenticate. A lot of services now offer multi-factor authentication. And I would suggest if your application offers it, use it. Even if someone takes your password, they still won't be able to get in without way more steps. And then it's a more targeted attack.
Facebook.
Sorry?
Do it on Facebook.
Absolutely authenticate on Facebook. So there's a whole bunch of authentication apps you can use on your phone. I use Google Authenticator and Duo Security. And basically all Google Authenticator does is it keeps a list of all the applications on my phone. I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was muted. I'm sorry.
I sign into a website, I'll type in my password, and then it'll say, hey, what's your OTP or your one-time password? I go to my Google Authenticator app. It gives me 6 digits that change every minute. I type that password in, and then it lets me into my service. But that way, the website confirms that not only whoever just tried to enter this website knows George's password, he also happens to have George's phone. That must be George. So they'll let me in. Duo Security is fantastic because very little services actually use Duo Securities, but the ones that do, I'm so happy they do. To log into your computer, all you need is that one password to get you in. Duo changes that so that it can require two-factor authentication to get into your computer, which is, from an IT guy, I love it. But what it'll do is you'll sign into your computer and you'll receive a push notification on your phone. A little drop-down notification, like you just received a text saying, hey, are you trying to sign into your computer? You click yes, you're in your computer. It goes away, there's nothing more else to type. If it's not you, well, you get that notification, hey, someone, you're trying to sign into your computer, is this you? And that's not you, then you need to call your IT guy, or you need to call somebody, because somebody's trying to get into your computer without your knowledge.
George, would you
Yes.
be able to maybe put a list of how we could get these things like Duo security or authenticators, either in the chat or maybe follow up after this?
Yeah, I would love to follow up. Let me make a note of that.
I know Google Authenticator is an app, so you can just download it from Play Store or whatever. I don't know about the others, if they work that way as well, if they're apps.
Yeah. Microsoft Authenticator actually comes with your Microsoft Office 365 account, so that when you sign in with your Office 365, you'll receive that pop-up notification. Hey, is this you? Yes, it is. Click, you're going. Yeah, when we talked about the push notification, OTP is one-time password. So those 6 digits will just continuously cycle. It's never the same every time you look at it. And that's just to keep it secure. Biometrics, we talked about that. Face ID, fingerprint. If your phone has either one of these features, please turn it on. It's way much faster than typing in a password on your phone, or type that little swipey thing that we used to have on the phones. That's just another password. So it's not really multi-factor authentication. And then the fingerprint is just so easy to get into your phone that way, that security is easier when it's more transparent to the end user. If the end user has to circumnavigate a whole bunch of security fences, it's not really security, it's just something that they're gonna bypass. All right, and then the scary website, have you been pwned? Haveibeenpwned.com is a website that you guys should really check out. Let's see here. Haveibeenpwned.com. Can you guys see that? Okay, I didn't know if I was sharing the application or sharing the screen, so I'm sharing the screen. So have I been pwned? And I'll throw this link in the chat. This is a website that every time a company is hacked, every time a repository is stolen, Facebook gets database breaches or something like that happens, these people will go out, find the information that was taken, because a lot of time it just ends up on black markets, and they will find out if you should be worried about this. So for example, we'll type in my personal email. And because it's been 20 years since I've made this email, it's been a part of 27 data breaches. So every time one of these data breaches happens, I've had to change my password, or I should have changed my password. I was also young and handsome back then, so who knows if I actually did change it. And then it'll go through and say, back in October of 2013, 153 million Adobe accounts were compromised. We'll do my work email now. So this one is more recent, so it's only like 2 or 3 years old. And I'm good. I haven't used any weird services with my George@redshirt.pro email. So let's just go ahead and pop that in chat. Boom, and feel free to play around with that. It's a great way to see that if you were part of any data breaches, which data breaches were you a part of, and which passwords. Sorry, it won't tell you what passwords are compromised, but you can have an idea. Hey, back last year my password for Facebook was this, or my password for Adobe was the same password for my bank account, I should probably change my bank account password too. So it just gives you a bit more idea of what your online presence looks like.
Quick question. I just did mine on my other computer here and it says 8 and it lists them. So can I go and like unsubscribe or get rid of those apps on my phone or?
So if it's on this website, the data's already out there.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, if you've lost trust or lost faith with that company, and you don't want to use their services anymore, feel free to get rid of that information, but that's not going to remove what's already out there.
Okay. Thank you.
If Shannon Garcia's username and password are already out there, well then we probably shouldn't use Real Estate 19 anymore. We should probably use a new password that they don't already have.
Right. And I change mine regularly. That password for my Microsoft login stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Will that help? Or I guess.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if your password's only ever 3 months old at a time or 6 months old at a time, then in a few months, that information they have is useless. Just make sure that if you change it there because, if you change it there because you feel that password is no longer protecting you over there, change everywhere else that password is as well. You know, just because your Facebook gets hacked and your Facebook and your bank account have the same username and password, just because Facebook is attacked, they're going to use that information on your bank account. So you need to change it everywhere that Real Estate 19 is. Your password's not really, for everyone who didn't know, her password is really not Real Estate 19. It's completely applicable since she's a real estate agent. Yeah, so that's what I said. Very scary website. All right, now we're going to talk about some email. Enterprise versus public email services. I have had, is she distracting? No? Okay, no. She's just sitting here yelling in my ear. So I don't know if you guys can hear her or if it's just me going mad. I've had many, I don't want to call them fights, but confrontations with my clients because they go, thank you. Because they're going, we're not paying for Gmail. Why would I need to pay for my email for my business when Gmail's giving it to me for free? Or heaven forbid, Yahoo is giving it to me for free. It's, free email is just so much easier to find online. But remember, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Yeah, so especially for business emails, I always suggest pay for your email services. You're going to get better spam filtering, you're going to get better security, you're going to have better control over your email. So let's see. G Suite and Office 365 are the two big ones that I try to push my clients towards. Personally, I push people more towards the Microsoft 365 just because the granularity of control that I have is fantastic. And people, once you have Outlook and you love Outlook, it's really hard to go back to anything but Outlook. And if you're going to pay for Outlook, you might as well pay for the email services that come with it.
So Outlook is not 365? I thought
No.
Outlook was part of Office.
No, Outlook is a Microsoft product in their Office suite, and that includes Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. Outlook is a tool used to get your email. So on the back end, your email provider, whether it's IMAP through Google, Exchange through Microsoft, or POP through another service, Outlook goes out, talks to that service, pulls your email back to Outlook. So it's just a gateway to your email, but what's actually doing the transport in the background, that's what you're paying for. So you said your email's with GoDaddy. GoDaddy.
Well, I bought it. Well, In all honesty, I don't even know how to, can you find out whether it's POP or whatever, IMAP or whatever?
If you're with GoDaddy, there's a good chance you're using the Exchange email, which is fantastic.
Okay, I haven't specified, I am going to buy All Risk Insurance Solutions, Bonnie at and Jim at, well, agency at.
Mhm.
But I just have, I'll do it this afternoon.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about how you read your email, whether it's through a website or through Outlook. There's also some free ones like Thunderbird, Moo Mail, but the back end is what you want to pay for. And then email control. If your company doesn't own the email, then it's not your email, it's an employee's. I just had a few weeks ago, I had this unfortunate circumstance with a client. They became my client 2 years ago, and I told them, I don't like how you guys have your email set up. We need to work out a game plan to move away from this current model where everyone has their own, Vanessa.companyname@gmail.com, Stacy.companyname@gmail.com. Every employee had an email like that because it was free and it did what they wanted to do and they were happy, but they didn't understand the security implementations of that. And I told them, this is not the best way to do things. And even if you trust all your employees implicitly, it's still not going to be a good time, because my loyalty isn't to you, it's to the company. And it's always going to be what's best for the company that I'm going to recommend. So they wrote it off. They didn't want to go with my upgrades. And sure enough, a few months ago, I got a call from them saying, hey, Vanessa took off. She had control of her email account and we don't know the password to her email. Can you please give us the password? I'm like, well, I don't have it either. They left on bad terms with Vanessa, so she wasn't answering her cell phone, or she wasn't answering her phone at all, and they lost that email and they can't get it back. They still got clients emailing that email. We never set up a forwarding address, nothing like that. And I told them my hands were tied. I tried to get it back. I tried to do the password recovery and I tried to do that, but it's hard to break into an account when you don't have all the information. So now, because of that, we're working on transitioning from all of their Gmail accounts over to Office 365. And it sucks that I have to use them, like I get to use them now as an example, but it was a prime example of why it's best to pay for your email. Because if they had the Office 365, they would have called me up and said, hey, Vanessa is no longer with us. I would have been able to then log into my portal, delete her email off of her phone, her personal phone, delete it off of her personal computers, delete it anywhere that it wasn't authorized, remove her access, put my own password in place, give it to the manager. And if it was like Vanessa at blank, been able to reroute all of Vanessa's traffic to the office manager's email so that they never skip the beat. And that's the thing. So like Vanessa may be your most trusted employee. She may have been with you for 5-10 years, and Vanessa will never leave. No, one day Vanessa will, and it's my responsibility to make sure the company is protected, not that the employees are protected. So now Vanessa is out. Like I don't think she'll do anything with this information. She's not that kind of person, and by that she barely used email to begin with. But now she does potentially have a list.
Just go in and change the password. Just go in and say forgot password, and then just.
Yeah, I tried that and I did that, but I don't know where Vanessa grew up. I don't know her first grade teacher's maiden name or anything like that. So I didn't attempt.
That should be on an employee app then.
Exactly, but that's where we get down to writing down passwords and how unsecure that is as well. It's a whole ecosystem of security. So, but now potentially Vanessa has a list of all of her clients for her customer, and she could go to a competitor and say, hey, would you guys like this? So it's a scary world out there.
George, can I comment on this for just a second?
Yeah.
One of the things that I like to share with our customers is it does come across very unprofessional to have a Gmail or a Yahoo and your company name and all of that. We started off years and years ago, and so we still have our original Success City Online at Gmail account, and we use it for certain things, but we had long since used it in communicating with clients. So it's just a really good idea to not have that. It comes across unprofessional. Also, scammers typically use Gmail addresses, so they get through your firewalls with a Gmail address, because Gmail has a lot of juice. So when you get those emails and they look like they're from a company because the name's in there, but you notice that at Gmail, be suspicious. So people like me are telling people, be suspicious of Gmail addresses because they're typically scammers. And then another note on here is you mentioned that you may already be paying for email hosting with website or domain hosting. Never buy that. Never buy email hosting attached to your website hosting. And this is why. That's a way that a company can keep you locked into their services. What emails are a pain. They are a nightmare. They are the bane of my existence. But more often than not, my customers say, hey, can you host my emails? And I say, yes, because I don't like saying no. But creating the accounts is easy. We have our own server, but we never sell it as a package that goes with your domain name, because then if you were to leave, you got to take your emails too, because now you've got two companies, and a lot of times those packages are not separable. So you bought a package and now you're stuck. You're stuck with that company for good. So
Yeah.
never buy website and email hosting as a package. It's a nightmare. By the way, both hostings should be cheap. Hosting for a website is pennies, and for email, it's even cheaper. So be buyer beware when you're buying hosting services, and even from big dog companies. And I like to mention, GoDaddy is a big company. They've been in business a long time, but when you buy hosting or you buy a domain from them, they give you all this cool free stuff, like calendars. They're free, and they give you extra storage space that's free, except you don't notice that it renews a year later, and you've got this great big fat charge for stuff you don't use anyway. So beware of that kind of stuff. Even GoDaddy, has their marketing team.
So just to give some validity to what Maria was saying, she's absolutely right. However, a lot of that stuff doesn't really deal with security, which is why I didn't put it in the presentation. But thank you. Those were also some great points. And I did also have a customer who hated their hosting provider, but didn't leave because that's where their email was. So I was able to do an email migration. I separated it. Now they're paying for hosting one place and their email with another, so they can change over that hosting whenever they need to.
Good for you. Charge a lot for that because it's a pain in the butt.
It is. Between G Suite and Office 365, I prefer M365 only because people are already using Microsoft Word, Outlook, and Excel. They're using Office all the time, and those are paid applications. They don't just come with the computers. You need to pay for those applications. And if you're already going to pay for those, it's just an extra $5 to throw an email on top of that. And now you have Office 365's complete package. If you're doing all your work on a browser and you don't mind using Google's tools, Google has a great set of tools. They have their own Office. They have their own Word. They have their own Excel, Google Sheets, Google Docs. And a lot of people just like the interface that Google has. By all means, choose G Suite. They're both fantastic enterprise solutions. And when you say you have your email with somebody else, there's a good chance that they're reselling that services through one of these two. So for example, Bonnie, you said you had your email through GoDaddy. There's a good chance that they're using Microsoft's backend to actually handle their email. So
I'll look into it.
So network security. How many times have you guys sent an employee home to work remotely and they called you up and said, yeah, I'm working from home, but now I can't access my file shares, or I can't access the printers, or I can't access the server? A lot of people were not ready to go work from home. First of all, this is actually just copy paste stuff from the last time I did one of these wows, because I can't stress this enough. Wi-Fi isn't the best choice. There are a slew of things wrong with Wi-Fi that you need to think of Wi-Fi more as a convenience, not as a solution. It can be easily interfered with other devices, such as printers, other routers, even your wireless mouse runs off 2.4 gigahertz and can interfere with your Wi-Fi. So the more wireless devices you have in your house, the worse performance your Wi-Fi actually gets.
What is the difference between like Cox has Cox
2.5, sorry,
2.4 and 5.0 or something?
The quickest way and the easiest way I can explain it to you is, remember growing up, we all had walkie-talkies with different channels?
Maybe I can figure that out. Yeah,
if you had two people who want to talk to each other, they're on the same channel and you can talk to each other. But if your friend across the street happens to put they're on the same channel, then they would be able to interfere with you and mess up your guys' conversation. 2.4 only has I think it's 3 bands before you start to get interference. 5 gigahertz, which is further up on the electromagnetic scale, has way more bands, so you can fit way more devices in there before the spectrum starts to get congested. So that's the difference between 2.4 and 5. There's trade-offs, however, such as 2.4 can go farther and it can penetrate more for like walls and stuff like that, whereas 5 gigahertz doesn't penetrate very much, so you're not going to get its greatest signal strength, but you are going to get less interference. So it's a trade-off, and you have to choose which one's better in the circumstance. I always recommend, if you can see 5G, connect to 5G.
I always thought that you had to use 5G for, like, sometimes because we have the router in the back of the house by the bedrooms, and we're in the living room on the other side of the house. So it just seems like the stereo on the other side of the house is always disconnecting from the wireless.
And it may be. So the 5G will not travel as far as the 2.4. However, the 2.4 has a better chance of interference. So that's, if you can see the 5G and you have a good connection to the 5G, connect to it. Okay. Otherwise, you may be limited to use the 2.4 on those devices on the outskirts.
Okay. Thank you.
But if you're near an outlet, or if you can plug in your computer, it's always best to use to plug in, because you're just going to get more reliable consistency. You're going to get more reliable traffic. For example, these Zoom chats that we've all been doing over the last year use something called UDP traffic. With that, there's no checks, which means if I had a spotty connection, I would, and you wouldn't really get all the information I was trying to say. If I was on Wi-Fi, that would happen a whole lot more, because I'm on a wired connection. I hope you guys have all had a luxurious experience with my awesome voice. A whole lot more information here. Wi-Fi practices aren't really what I'm here to talk about, though, so I'm going to go ahead and move past the rest of this. Just know that if you can wire, please wire. Especially if it's a workstation. Don't set up an office and just assume everyone's going to be okay on Wi-Fi. That's not a good time. VPNs, this is what I really wanted to bring you guys here for. So everyone's heard about VPNs, whether it's through some ad somewhere, through YouTube, or even through an office setting. And there's 2 types of VPNs. There's public VPNs, and then there's private VPNs. Public VPNs like NordVPN, private internet access, Windscribe. You hear these marketed a lot towards people that are like, just protect your identity online, stop getting targeted ads, pretend like you're in another country or something like that. And they're great for what they do. They do protect your internet when you're on an unprotected Wi-Fi, say like at Walmart or at Starbucks or in an unfamiliar environment. But they're services you pay for. Great security when traveling, and internet anonymity. So not sure if you heard this, but like airplane companies, the airliners will see where you're from, where you are currently looking at their website, and give you different rates to other places based on where you are looking at their rates from. So VPNs is one way to find that out. Sorry, my wife is calling. Private VPNs is where business security kicks in. OpenVPN, IPsec, and WatchGuard are private VPNs. So, for example, I have a private VPN here at my home. I don't have any exposed services at my home, but I have file sharing here. I have security cameras here. I have all my servers here because I'm one of those real nerds. And because I don't want outside attacks to happen, if I want to access any of that stuff from the outside, if I want to check on my cameras while I'm out shopping or something like that, I need to connect to my VPN, and then I can get into my network. These are provided by your router or your firewall in most cases. So if you guys have like a pfSense router, a Ubiquiti router, Linksys router, Cisco router, FortiGate, really all of your business class routers are going to do that for you. It allows your remote users to access your network resources such as RDP gateway, so they can access their desktops. File servers, if you guys have a file server at work that everyone accesses to either access QuickBooks or share documents, stuff like that, that can't be accessed from the outside unless you have a VPN or another service to provide that. And split traffic VPNs. I'll explain what that is in detail. So now, to do some of my magic that impressed some people earlier, we are going to stop sharing, make me the focus. Everyone can see me? Yeah. And then transition. Haha. Can I get some thumbs up? Can everyone see this? We're looking good? Yeah. Okay, so I did this cool thing where I got my iPad here, and now you guys can see what I have on my iPad. So this is an example of what a VPN actually is. This blue square here represents your workplace office. That's everything in your office. So we have, let's see here. Yep, we have that. So we've got, computer users here. There's Sally, there's Eugene, that kind of stuff. So like, we have computers in the office, and they're able to easily access the file shares. They're easily to access the printers because they're within the network. Everything in the blue square is a safe environment. However, we've also sent users to work from home, user 1 and user 2. User 1 and user 2. That's Elmo's world. User 1, we're going to say, is a regular VPN user, while user 2 is a split tunnel VPN user. And it's really, they'll both have the same level of security. One just has better access to the rest of their internet. So user 1 needs to access their workstation back at work. So this is where user 1 usually sits, and they want to remote into their work desktop and work as if they were working from their desk anyway. So what they would do is they would open up a VPN tunnel to their firewall. Their firewall just happens to also provide a VPN service. That would let them in and set up a encrypted tunnel. What you call it? Horrible drawing with the pen here. So this tunnel is protected by everyone on the outside. In the internet, they can see data is being passed, but they can't actually see what information is being passed. It's all encrypted and secured. And then the VPN allows them into the network, where then it'll pass off the traffic, to the workstation, so that user 1 can access that workstation just as if they were at home. Just as if they were sitting at their desk. Remote user 2 does the same thing, but they want to access the network storage. They want to be able to access the share files, where everyone keeps their PDFs and all the client information is, or you're doing some kind of collaboration work. It doesn't matter why they're coding in, they just need to get in. Okay. Remote user, sorry, but the problem is if remote user 1, because they're working from home, also goes to YouTube, what's going to happen is all of remote users 1's internet access is going through that VPN. It doesn't know the difference. It's sending it all to the work. Our workplace VPN notices, hey, YouTube isn't here at the office. We need to send that request out to the internet. Boom, it goes out to the internet. From there, YouTube replies back because it's got to give you the website, it's got to give you the video. So it sends it back to the firewall, who sends it back to you, to user 1. That's a lot of extra traffic that the firewall didn't need to do. And now you're utilizing your company's internet bandwidth in order to watch YouTube, and that's not what split traffic VPN does. Is all work productivity on this network, anything destined for the 10.x address or whatever your workplace happens to be, that's what's going to go through the VPN. But that YouTube traffic, that's just going to go straight to the internet and never have to worry about going to the office. So it saves down. So only traffic meant for the office is going to the office. And that's actually what I use. The remote user 2 situation, that split tunnel VPN, it's a whole bunch of overhead. Your firewall doesn't have to work nearly as hard. And you as a business owner don't have to worry about getting slow speeds at work because a remote user is watching YouTube or watching Netflix, because you can't stop that. You know, you can't even make your employees put pants on. Now you're going to tell them they can't watch YouTube. Does anyone have any questions about this?
What about services like TeamViewer or Go to My PC and things like that that allow you to go and check stuff that's on your computer via the internet?
Yeah, so it's all about the latency. I utilize those services as well. I have something called Screen Connect that I connect all my clients with, but those services work in a different manner. So there we go. So what happens with that is, if TeamViewer is out here in the internet, your workstation at the office needs to constantly send a reminder to the TeamViewer server out on the internet. Hey, I'm still here. This is how you connect to me. 30 seconds go by. Hey, I'm still here. And every 30 seconds, that back and forth is always happening. So that when remote user 1 wants to connect to that, they don't connect to the work, they connect to the internet. And that extra travel distance, because it's got to go all the way to TeamViewer servers, they process the request, and then they get the request back from the office. So that, it's definitely, if you just need a quick file, if you need to send off a quick email, or if you're going to be in your computer for 5-10 minutes or just helping another user with something, TeamViewer is great for that. However, if you're going to sit there and do 8 hours of work, it's not going to be the best experience. It's going to be laggy performance. It's going to be very choppy. It's going to be very, the colors are going to be, you're going to downgrade the colors. So you're not working with 10-bit color, you're working with like 6-bit color. So it's not the best experience that you want to work in for 8 hours. For that, you always want to do a direct connection. And that's going to be through RDP, or remote desktop protocol. And while RDP in itself is not a very secure protocol, you always wrap that in a container of security, and that's what your VPN is. Okay, so we're using an unsecure service in a secure tunnel, and that's what VPN is doing. Does that answer your question, TeamViewer? Fantastic. I'm really happy with how this worked. This was a new experience for me with the iPad. Here be dragons. So let's go ahead and transition back. share screen. No, really. There we go. Yeah, so public VPNs, they're great. You know, they have their use case. They're not what we're talking about right now. It's all about the private VPN. I use something called OpenVPN. Because of the type of router I install at my clients' locations, I usually set them up with OpenVPN as well. And it's not an always on VPN. It's something you need to click turn on, and now you can access your work resources. Whereas IPsec is it's another kind of VPN that would link two different locations on a permanent connection. So I have another technician's in my house, best friend, 5 years, something like that. He has an VPN tunnel between his location and my location, and we will share data between our two locations securely over the internet through our IPsec tunnel. And we'll jump into why in the next slide. But I really hope you guys access your VPNs. On the security side, like if you guys have security cameras at your work that you access by going to, myoffice.com, or whatever your domain name is, and accessing your cameras that way. And there's an open page on the internet somewhere that you can go to that asks for your username and password. Those can be hacked. So people can look into your cameras, people can see all the weird things you do at home, or weird things you do at the office. Like your cameras are now open to the public, and we don't want that. But if you never give your cameras access to the internet, now you have to go VPN into your office. Now you can access your cameras, and your cameras never had internet access to begin with. So that's the way I do it, just paranoia. But why do I give all why do I give my buddy access to my network and vice versa? Is all for backups. And 321 is what we're going to talk about today. By the way, it is 1 o'clock. Maria, how are we on time? Are we okay? This is my last section.
Yeah, we're over on time, so this will definitely need to be the last points.
All right, I will make this quick and not go into as much detail then, but just know how important this is. I want to stress that. So 321, you always want 3 different kind of backups in 2 different locations, with one of which is at least off-site. So network NAS, that's the backup. Program on your computer that backs up to OneDrive or another cloud service, that's a backup. That's off-site. And then you also have a copy of your email on another computer. Those are 3 different kinds of backups. Disaster recovery is if you have a critical server on location. If you have a server that if it were to go down, you're starting to lose money every minute because it's not doing work, you want to look at this as disaster recovery, in which I can take a backup that I took of that server last night or the last day, spin it up in a virtual environment so that it can be up and running for you right away in a temporary location while we fix what's wrong with your current server. Disaster recovery, sometimes they cost a lot, or sometimes they cost barely anything, and then when you need to use them, they cost a lot, but they're absolutely worth it if your business is critically relied on that one service that service offers. Best backup practices, automation. If you rely on a human, it's not a backup solution. Humans fail. We suck. I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but if your backup solution is you coming into work every day and copying your desktop over to a flash drive and taking that home with you, you're not going to do that. You're going to do it for 3 days and then just forget about it because it's not worth the hassle. You haven't had to backup data in the last few days, so why do I need to keep backing this up? No, it needs to be automated. It needs to be a service that constantly runs on your computer. If you haven't tested your backup, it's not a backup. It's just a big pile of data, because when you need it and it doesn't work, there's nothing you can do with it. You really need to test your backups every now and then. Every few months, just make sure, restore a backup, just make sure you can, and then you'll know that your backups are good. And if your backup have keys, you need to keep those keys somewhere safe. throw it on a flash drive, throw it in a safety deposit box, throw it at, if you have 2 locations, make keys for each other, send them to the other location. Because if you need those keys to recover that backup, it's like having the keys to an unbreakable safe. If you don't have those keys, you've lost what's in that safe. It is now a brick.
That happened to me.
See, 2 minutes, we're good. Backups are important. Please back up. I've seen people lose 6 months of financial data because they never backed up their QuickBooks or something like that. So if you do have any other questions besides something I haven't already answered, feel free to contact me at george@redshirt.pro or my phone number here on screen. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up before Maria kicks us all out?
I just want to say thank you so much, George. And I assume that all of these points that you brought out today are things that you can help us with. We can contact you for information, get us squared away, backed up.
So my problem is, my biggest problem is that I'm not a salesman. So look at you over there trying to sell me, Maria. Come on.
I know, right? A marketer. What would you expect from me?
But yeah, these are all services that Redshirt does offer. The reason I got into this business is because I don't want to see businesses not utilize technology and fail. I want to see them use all these things I talked about and keep safe and keep secure. It's the year 2021. We should be using these computers to do all of our work for us. And I want to help you get to that point where that can happen.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I learned things. I'm using some of the things that you said don't use. I'm like, uh-oh. So I have to rethink some of the things. And I know that everybody got some value and something.
And they all got to see her for like 2 minutes.
Say that one more time.
And they only got to see her for like 2 minutes.
Well, now she'll be super quiet the rest of the day because she'll be tired.
I work from home. My wife works. So because of that, I'm the one watching our 2-year-old daughter all day, which is why Shannon needs to find me a location like tomorrow.
Well, you're a lucky man. If there aren't any other questions, Lauren, did you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I
Hey,
just want,
George, can I just ask one question? So if you say not to buy things at the same, so if my website's at GoDaddy, where do I buy email?
So
You didn't say that. Where do you buy email?
Bonnie, you can have your email and you can have your website both at GoDaddy. You don't want a package where they're tied together. So don't buy a package where GoDaddy says, oh, if we host your website, we'll also host your email. You do not want that. You want to purchase separate packages, a separate email package versus a website hosting package. But they can both be through GoDaddy.
From GoDaddy.
They can be through GoDaddy. Just make sure they're not connected. GoDaddy will try and give you a deal. It's not a deal if it doesn't work.
It's about thinking ahead and where you might go with your business in the future. Even if there's a remote chance you may go there, you still want to prepare for that situation. So Bonnie, if you wanted to change website providers one day to say Wix or Squarespace or something else because they had another feature set that you can get for cheaper than if you were to stay with GoDaddy, that should be your prerogative to move over to that cheaper website provider because they offer a service that GoDaddy doesn't help you with. But you don't want to be in the position where you make that change and GoDaddy says, oh, well, since you moved your website away from this, you're not going to get email from us anymore, and then shut you down. Yeah.
Okay.
Lauren?
Can you forward emails from Outlook to the new email? Can you forward it?
Yeah, so absolutely. So like if you currently have a Gmail account or if you're moving from one domain name to another, that transition period, you always want to set up your old email like a month longer than you need so that you can forward your email over to the new location. So you'll still receive those emails. So in your situation, if you were to be moving, what's your email?
My email is long but easy. It's allriskinsuranceSolutions@outlook.com. So I would like it to be at I can't use Eris. I can't because I've got all risk on the East Coast. I've got all risk insurance in the Midwest, and I'm on the West Coast, so I'm all risk insurance solutions.
So if you wanted Bonnie at All Risk, I'll risk all that. You would send your at outlook.com email. You would forward that to Bonnie at for a
Our
month or
agency,
so
yeah.
until
I'll
you're,
just set up one email, but it's just Jim and me, so I don't need
Yeah.
anything else until we start to grow more.
but that way, until your customers start using the Bonnie email address exclusively, then we'll know we're not missing anything from the outlook.com email.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And if it's outlook.com that you're getting, GoDaddy may not be providing that. I'd be more than happy if you want to know how your email is actually structured.
I may call you.
Feel
I may
free.
call you because there are, the technical and the security aspects of the agency. I have to do that all by myself now. So I am a computer geek. So, but I don't know everything. So I don't know the newer stuff. And
If you want to call me up, just know that if it's just retrieving information, I'm more than happy to help you out with that. Unless I'm actually doing work, then I won't charge you. But before I charge you for anything, I will let you know, hey, if I cross this line, then we're going to start talking about my rates.
I understood. I'm fair. 47. Okay, George. I'll send you an email just to start a conversation.
You rock.
Because I do need to worry about security. I do need to worry about security because of all the insurance companies.
It's a lot of financial data and a lot of personal customer information that you don't want to be sending out. Like, I hate it when my insurance adjuster asks me, hey, can you send me your social again? I'm like, over email? Can I just call you?
No. I never ask anybody to do that. Never. No, that's not good. You need a new insurance agent if they do that.
Okay, Lauren.
All
I
right,
love it.
bye.
Connections happening in our session. That's awesome. Just a reminder that our next mixer will be May 12th. It's going to be on the Events Plaza on Water Street. Look for more information on that. We'll have the board meeting first at 4:45, and then from 6 to 8 would be the mixer. So please join us May 12th. And thanks again, George. Great information today.